The car I'm getting may have just done this. Maybe. Yeah. Well, hello everybody. On this episode of Sally's, I'm on my way to get a vehicle up on the north side of Atlanta. Jacob is in California this week. He's been at MPMC, and today he's actually at Fontana, where he kind of started things out with the Roadkill Nation Challenge. I don't know, 7 years ago, something like that. But anyway, I'm going to pick up something. It's pretty cool. Is it a car? Is it a truck? I don't know. Maybe it's both. But anyway, follow along. You'll see what it is. I got the truck running and warming up. And I'm about to hook up the car hauler. And we're going to be on our way. We got pretzels. Woo! Up, and we are ready to roll. Going up to Dunwoody in North Atlanta. Want to check all that stuff, make sure it's right, and it is. Got my spare, brand new 20-year-old BF Goodrich, and we're ready to roll. Cut to the time lapse. So I have arrived at the location, and the car I'm getting may have just done this. Maybe, yeah. So the truck did fine getting here, and this is Mr. Jack Miller, and he's in Dunwoody in North Atlanta, which, you know, you wouldn't think Dunwoody would be like occupied by a redneck with a bunch of old cars, but apparently maybe there's no HOA here. So
the city's been kind to me.
Yeah,
we've gotten turned in a couple times by realtors.
I bet they have talked to you.
But for the most part, the city has actually been really good to work with.
Yeah.
There actually used to be a big gooseneck race trailer sitting over there on the other side. So yes, it is. We are in Dunwoody, and you never know where you're going to find a good old redneck.
Well, good to meet you, Jack. I know we've met before, but I don't recall.
It was in passing at
Caffeine and Octane?
No, you weren't there for that. You were at the Hot Rod Power Tour at Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Okay.
I met you guys there when they all came in with Snickers and all those guys.
Snickers. Oh yeah, Snickers.
So that was actually how I ended up meeting Solomon. That was it. Is that I'd gone up there and picked up a red truck, which is actually in there in partial pieces. Mm-hmm. And I did all the undercarriage work on Snickers. So all the brakes, all the bottom side, some of the top side stuff, trying to get ready for Hot Rod Power Tour. So then when Jacob and all those guys, he and all of them showed up down there, it's like, I got to go down there and see.
So when he ripped the fender off of that, or the bed, is all that fixed?
It's fixed.
And it matches the old?
Not yet.
Okay, so it still has to be painted.
It still has to be painted. He had it down at his event down in the Keys, and so it rolled off the truck. The sheet metal looks great. Now that it needs a little bit of paint.
Yeah, and for those who don't know what we're talking about, there's guy named Solomon. And so he has a F-150 named Snickers. I think it's F-150. And he was at Ford Fest or LS Fest, and he was doing a killer burnout, and one of the rear tires blew, and it just ripped the back of the truck apart. And so he's been doing some work with it. And but anyway, why are we here? Why am I here? So there's a nice Challenger here. Well, nice by my terms.
Well, and that's so what we've determined in our neighborhood is I find the orphan.
Yeah.
I find them, I get them running, may take good care of them, and then I have started the process of actually getting rid of a few.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that. We can talk about that one in a second. And
yeah.
So this one's actually a 440 car, 440 TKO 5-speed that I picked up a few years ago. Everything I've got has a story behind it.
It's interesting. So. You got the skinnies, you know, the rubber bands up front, and then you have the old school, you know, sidewall tire in the back. So
there's another set of wheels and tires for the back.
Okay.
They won't fit yet. They will soon.
Yeah.
And
so 440?
It's 440 5-speed, close ratio 5-speed.
Yeah. What were you saying about these?
So those are actually Z06 wheels off a C7 Z06.
Wow.
So I picked them up really cheap.
Mm-hmm.
The whole idea being is that I wanted to go with a bigger, wider wheel and tire, but I needed something to help me with fitment.
Yeah.
And that was kind of that stagger and everything was what I was looking for. Turns out that I think it may be locked.
That's okay. Security, it's okay. Turns out what about it?
So that all I did on that just to get fitment and figure out how it was going to sit and everything was I put some spacers on it, but the front wheels off the C7 Z06 will tuck very nicely up underneath the front end of a 73 Dodge Challenger.
Interesting. Well, we might be trying to put some Corvette stuff under one of our cars in 2023. More to come on that. I don't want to tip my hand on that, but
it was one where the tires and wheels were the right price.
Yeah.
It gave me the ability to see can I even make them fit. The front said yes. The back, we've actually got a kit to mini tub it and move the springs and stuff in, and we'll be able to put those back there. So
nice.
part of my issue is I have a lot of projects.
Yeah, I know how that goes.
And I needed to pass a couple of them on.
Yeah. So that said, here's the one that's being passed off. So this is the 1970 Ranchero 71. Oh well, you're gonna have to charge me more for it. It's a year newer.
Nope, but I'm gonna let you have it. It needs to go to a good home, preferably one where I can visit occasionally. So this was actually sitting in a field in Kentucky.
Yeah.
The gentleman that I got it from had a shop up in Cleveland. He'd found it. He got it down there. They sold it, literally drug it out of the field. He was able to get the motor to start turning over. Got a little bit of gas in it. And he has about 25 projects. So it turned out that it showed up. My dad has a 65 Ranchero. And I called him and he said, we talked about it. He goes, look, it'll pull on a trailer. And I was like, Megan, if it'll pull on a trailer, I'll give you your asking price for it. So I got it home, started doing some checking on it. Turns out, kind of a unique one. It is a 351 Cleveland 4V.
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 Which I don't know what that means.
Well, it means you have a hot rod motor in here. When I crank it up, you'll see what I'm talking about. So 4Vs were the high performance version of the Cleveland.
Okay.
What
does that mean? 4 Venturi? 4 barrel?
The 2Vs were 2 barrel, the 4Vs were 4 barrel.
So it's 4 Venturi.
But it's also a 71, which means it's got high compression heads on it.
Okay.
And like I say, when I crank it up, you'll see what I'm talking about. But it was one where one of the mechanics up at Angela Krause Ford, who I've gotten to know really good, when I talked to him about it, he goes, just get it started and let it run. So it's probably run for 40 hours in my driveway, and he said just let it run, and we did.
Loosen it up and let it
came slowly but surely. It came along, and you guys will hear it crank up in just a little bit, but I just spent a whole lot of time on it.
Nice master cylinder lid.
Well, it turns out that when they put the other Brewster on there, you can't close the hood with the top on it. So I wanted to close the hood.
Yeah. That's kind of important.
Duct tape works for everything.
We'll put a a little lifted portion in the hood. No, we'll come up with something flat.
I already
that
have.
works on there.
So I took one of those master cylinder.
Mm-hmm.
I cut it down by a half an inch.
Yeah.
It's in one of the boxes. I'll show it to you.
Okay.
So you've got one that'll already work.
Oh, you shaved the master cylinder.
I literally took the master cylinder and I shaved
wow.
a half inch off of it, and it's in one of the boxes. But I think if you'll work on the alignment and fitment and stuff,
yeah.
I think it'll all go down, but I promise you that one will fit.
That'll boost your master cylinder compression. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, shaving that. Yeah.
Like I said,
all right.
She was in really rough shape. Like, everything leaked. So we've gotten her down to a point now where she's got a few little leaks left. But all things considered, not too bad. The exhaust was rotted all the way out. So later on, don't laugh at my exhaust work.
I won't.
I was doing it in the driveway.
Yeah.
So it is what it is, but it works.
Well, cool. Well, all right. We'll get this thing fired up, loaded up, and headed back to Newnan. Are you gonna fire it up now?
That's fine.
So, Mr. Miller, with the Ranchero, he also has a little bit of firewood out here. So, I'm going to grab that while I'm here. Just take whatever's laying around. Plus, I got a truckload of parts, and there's parts in the car too. So, yeah, it's always good to have spare parts. Some of these are the original parts that came out of the vehicle. Some of them are actually new parts that are ready to go on the car. So not bad. It's always good to get parts. And now it's time to get this thing loaded up. So let's cut to the time lapse. Well, all right, got the car all loaded up. Really digging this thing. The GT, the old Kragers, they need to be de-rusted a little bit, polished up a little bit. The hood on the thing with the actual air intake, yeah, it's got a cool look. And got the door panel for that side. This one has a door panel on it. They still actually sell replacement dashes for these things because this car was a Gran Torino also, and I think it was on the same dash was on another model as well. So we could change that dash out, but it's got a trailer hitch on it, bolted to the bumper. I don't know how good that is. I mean, it's bolted to the frame up under there. Ford 9-inch under there, and 351 4-barrel C6 transmission, Ford 9-inch. Came with a lot of parts, and got some firewood too that was out here in the street. But yeah, came with a lot of parts, so that's always a plus. But we are ready to roll. Didn't have the winch, so I was able to drive it on, and I've got it kind of far back. I had too much tongue weight on the truck, so we ended up pushing it back a little bit because most of the weight on this is up front. There's just not a lot out back, so ended up backing it up a couple feet. And we're going to be headed south back to Newnan, so we'll probably do a time lapse. Cut to the time lapse. And just like that, we got her home. It seems so quick, like in an episode, but this is really taking me most of the day. It goes that way sometimes, especially if you're recording. More time to get everything set up, but pleased with the purchase. I think it has kind of a cool look. We'll see what we do with it. Cool thing about this is I get to drive it off the trailer, so I'm about to put the ramps on the trailer and drive it off. And unlike a lot of stuff we bring home that you know, like that and that and those that have to be drug off the trailer, this one will come off under its own power, so that's a score. I think the dash needs some screws on it. It just falls off. I didn't know it was so easy to take a dash off. But anyway, there you go. Hope you liked the episode. Be sure to like, subscribe, whatever else it is you do with these things to where we get more views. But hope y'all enjoyed it and enjoyed following along, and we'll see you next time.